While these villagers may be passed by, the Hanging Monastery is one of the country's most popular tourist sites.
感觉很壮观哎，嘿，哦，难得一见。
And what is really amazing is that it's wooden. It's wood. There's no iron. It's just the same it was. So it's unbelievable. It's great.
Suspended 15 stories above the Hen Valley floor, it's a mystery why it was built there and how it survived. In Chinese, it's called the monastery suspended in a void. One reason for its peculiar position could be the floods that used to plague the valley. Today, a dam controls the river, making the building easily accessible to visitors, if they're brave enough.
全世界可以这样说，全国吧，我们每天接待很多客人啊。
Many people visit the Hanging Monastery every year. And the first question they ask is, why is the monastery built on the west cliff of Jinxia Gorge? The gorge is 30 miles long, and the mountains block the wind from the north and south. The monastery is built in an indentation in the cliff beneath an overhang. That's why the building is still intact after 1400 years, in spite of weathering. Its surroundings reduce the destructive force of nature.
What the naked eye can't see from below is that the Hanging Monastery is actually built into the cliff face. More than 40 cave rooms were dug into the rocks to hold precious religious statues of all shapes and sizes. This process was also crucial to lending the building its much-needed support. Glancing at the structure, it looks suspiciously like the beams get more than a little support from vertical wooden poles resting on tiny rock ledges. But it's easy to be misled.
实际上，我们这个细的柱子都是装饰性。
In fact, the thin pillars are just for decoration, to give people more confidence to go up to the monastery. If we use thick pillars, the monastery wouldn't look like it's hanging. But if we didn't use any pillars, it looked too unstable and nobody would go up. That's why all the pillars are very thin. They actually don't give any support to the monastery.
So the wooden pillars, which appear to protect the tourists, really don't support them at all. They were put there within the last century, just to make the monastery look more stable for the faint-hearted. It took 2,000 years to complete, and it stretches over 4,000 miles. In a recent worldwide poll, it was voted one of the world's greatest treasures. The Great Wall of China is a man-made miracle that unites over 1 billion people and more than 50 ethnic groups. It's a powerful national icon and supreme among the 7 wonders of China. The early construction of the Great Wall depended only on thin layers of earth, pressed firmly on top of one another. The defensive barrier only needed to withstand the onslaught of swords and spears. Emperor Qin's Great Wall ran along what was the country's first northern frontier. In the following dynasty, the Han, the Great Wall extended its reach into the Gobi Desert, responding to new areas of enemy attack. It was over a millennium later before the construction of the Great Wall took a great leap forward. The builders of the Ming Dynasty made a wall that was much bigger, grander, and stronger. They were desperate to repel a wave of Mongol attacks that were becoming ever more fierce and relentless.
There was a major raid in this area in 1550. Several thousands of Mongols got inside the wall. That was a devastating raid, 60,000 Chinese killed, 40,000 taken prisoner, several 100,000 head of livestock lost. And the Chinese response to that raid, or part of the response, was to rebuild the wall of stone and mortar, a lot like the mortar that you see right here.
The structure took shape over the years to incorporate passes, signal towers, and watchtowers, all designed to make the wall into an impenetrable defense barrier.
The watchtower that we're seeing here was part of a large project to build towers from the ocean to an area west of Beijing, starting in around 1569. The main purpose of the towers is to provide shelter from Mongol bows and arrows.
Watchtowers were the mainstay of China's defense strategy. Soldiers would keep a close watch from these lookout points and launch preemptive strikes. In the event of a raid, the Chinese had to mobilize troops instantly. They developed a signaling system that used the wall to communicate over vast distances in a matter of minutes.
Smoke and fire were the main methods used in the signal system. Smoke during day and a fire during night to show the amount of the enemy.
The number of the signals indicated the strength of the enemy. One signal would mean that there were 100 enemy soldiers approaching. 2 would mean 500, and 3, 1,000. 4 fires indicated an approaching army of 5,000. It's said that in extreme emergencies, wolf dung was added to the fire to make the smoke thick and black. To this day, the Chinese phrase wolf smoke means crisis. The Great Wall enabled rulers to communicate efficiently with faraway troops. However, in the wrong hands, the effectiveness of the signaling system could lead to disaster. King Yo, leader of the Zhao kingdom, fell in love with a beautiful slave named Baosi. So taken was he with his lover that he dethroned his original queen and had Baosi crowned in her place. Baosi was a woman of exceptional beauty, but she was known for never smiling, in spite of the best efforts of King Yo.
Queen Bao did not like smiling, so in order to make her smile, King Yu thought of all kinds of methods, but failed for many times.
King Yo finally came up with a plan with the help of a cunning court official. The official suggested he play a practical joke on his commanders by lighting smoke signals and fooling them into believing they were under attack. And the shock on their faces when they rushed to the palace and found they'd been tricked would surely make the queen smile at last.
When the princess arrived, they saw the king. They saw no enemy but the king and the smiling queen. The queen was smiling because maybe she never saw such a funny thing. And the king was happy. But the princess, you can imagine, they were very angry.
The commanders had lost trust in their king they'd rushed to protect.